What up, Dan?
What's up, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm glad to have you on the mic and behind the camera. And actually, more so, you're in front of the camera today.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pumped to kind of do something that I think we've talked about for quite a while, and that's just you and I kind of chopping it up. You educate me a little bit on CrossFit, but us just really more than anything else, just kind of hanging out, having our normal conversations, albeit now just recorded. And yeah, man, this is cool. I'm pumped to be on here with you.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it too. So you guys don't know, but Dan is DTP, Dan, the producer, who has helped me with all the episodes that we've been rolling out so far with Rise and Pod, especially all the versions of Athlete to Athlete. And so we wanted to hop on here together to give a general rundown of what we have just digested and processed, because there are some shockers with week one of semifinals. We watched the Syndicate Crown go down. We watched the Lowlands Throwdown get executed. And then, of course, we also saw the Torium Pro. And I think that's the best place for us to start, Dan, is we're going to jump in and kind of talk shop a little bit about the results that we saw play out. And I know that you followed it a little bit throughout the weekend. Of course, I was in and out. I was also coaching and training the athletes that I'm preparing from True Fitness to get prepared for their semifinals. So I didn't get to see a lot of like raw footage of the throwdowns, just more like leaderboarding. But from a general perspective, did you check any of the Torium Pro out? Did you watch any of Tia or any of the men from the Down Under?
I didn't watch from the live stream just because, like, I mean, quite frankly, after about I think number 4 of Tia's wins, my investment, I was like, okay, so Tia got it. That's cool. I did watch a lot of the highlights. Like, it was cool to see everybody's favorite prodigal son return, seeing Ricky.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool, just because, like, I was curious. I don't remember how he did. What was it? Dubai. Didn't he compete?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Dubai where he
Yeah,
competed?
yeah, he's thrown down.
Made his return.
Yep.
So I was excited to just get to see him back on there, but I wasn't familiar with a lot of the other guys. And so I didn't pay as much. I think this was the one I probably paid the least amount of attention to, all things considered.
Sure. Well, I get it, man, and I think you're right to hit. Those are the primary storylines, right? We've got Tia in that region. We've also got Cara Saunders, the one that kind of led the way for the moms in the CrossFit space in regards to having a child and then returning to the field of competition. Of course, we got Ricky, the story of Ricky Garrard, the return from his suspension, and things I think really played out. I wouldn't say exactly the way that I planned or thought they would in the Down Under, because I really thought that Royce Dunn would have an opportunity to punch his ticket and get back to the CrossFit Games and take one of those top 3 spots. But what we have standing wise, folks, is Jay Crouch taking first place with 556 points, Ricky Garrard in second at 540 points, and then Baden Brown, who is a multiple times games athlete, also there at 495. And then we've got a pretty significant drop off. I mean, honestly, between him and Royce, it was 60 points or 58 to be exact. So, Baden did what he needed to do to get back to where he wanted to be. And as a 27-year-old, that's important because he's kind of in his prime. We got Ricky, who had literally just finished his suspension, and this is his first year eligible to get back to the CrossFit Games at 28. And then Jay Crouch is a little bit younger than the other boys from Down Under at 23. And he's just coming into his prime. But boy, he put on a show this weekend. I was impressed by him from the events that I did get to watch. But no real surprises. High work capacity events, simple in presentation, we're going to go to Ricky. Higher skill events, we're going to go to someone like Jay. And then Baden was just really consistent towards the top and really put on a show. He won workout 1, workout 4, and then got second in workout 5 and 6. So there's a bit of an outlier for him in workout 2, which was the legless rope climb workout.
I wonder which one that was for him. So I was curious about that.
He got 20th, man. So there's that. But other than that, I mean, he was the one that really surprised me, if anything.
I'll be curious too to go, like, because I want to watch that just to see what did he do wrong.
Yep.
I mean, it's only, 20 seconds isn't a short time in that kind of workout, but it's 20 seconds separated him from Jay.
Exactly. That's the downside with an event like that, right? Is that literally these athletes are fighting tooth and nail for every second, and you make one slip up, and it's going to cost you 3 to 4 spots.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like, did he mess up on like a rope climb? Like that's got to be probably the only thing that makes sense in a workout like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we saw in a few instances where guys actually make the attempt to jump and miss, like completely whiff the rope, and it's just
Yeah.
because they're trying to go so fast. So they're trying to time that approach just right. If the rope is moving at all, of course, that could throw them off. But ultimately, if you have 2 to 3 even rope climbs where you might not grab as high and you have to do 1 or 2 extra pulls, over time that'll cost you that 10 seconds. So it could have been a lot of things. So I'll be interested to go back and watch that as well. But yeah, it was good. The race was tight. Watching these guys throw down in that rope climb event only makes me more excited for what we're going to see from the other semifinals as well, because we now know it's a straight up sprint the entire time for the men.
That makes sense. Totally makes sense. I had one quick thing to just because I was looking at this Jay Crouch, and
Yep.
I mean 23.
Yep.
But he's like not new. I
Correct.
mean, like I thought that was kind of a neat. Like it's like, oh, okay, so I mean, you know, he's got a little OG to him because it's like he's been, I mean, a regional competitor. I mean, it looks like he made it to the games in 18 on a team.
Yep.
And 17 just missed. So it's like, oh, okay, so this guy's been around for a cool minute. Like this ain't, you know, he's a young cat, but you know, he's established.
Yeah, Jay has been to the CrossFit Games 2021, 2020, and on a team in 2018 and 2017.
God, okay.
So he is seasoned, if you will, for a 23-year-old. So I think this is one of those years for him where people expected him to go, and now it's like, okay, how's he gonna really play out there? How's he go to the field? Does he show up this year at the CrossFit Games and with the ability to actually compete? Because when he's gone 22nd last year, and then he was 18th in 2020. 2020, of course, being that weird year where he was able to compete from Australia, but then unless you made the top 5, you didn't get to go. So I wouldn't consider that necessarily a real opportunity for him to show his stuff.
18, right? That's kind of a loose 18. Like
that's it. Completely loose 18. All right. The fellas were set. The ladies, though. No surprise. Tia just, owning the show.
Yeah. Although, like, I mean, obviously she swept, right? First place in every event.
She pooped on everybody.
But it's only 40 points difference between her and Cara. Like, I feel like that seems like there should be more points difference.
Yeah, but this is what we've seen from them every year. So, they get an opportunity to go head to head. They're basically going back and forth for first and second in almost every single workout. And so that's kind of why you see that tight point spread, even though Tia was so dominant, is because Cara's right there nipping at her heels in almost every single workout. Now, here's what I want to really draw attention to is that there were some tight races points wise. However, right, workout 1, Tia finishes in 18 minutes. Cara's second at 19:43. Then we fast forward to workout 3, where they're only separated by 10 points in the total, or I'm sorry, 10 pounds, that's a tight race, right? That's tight, I would say, for the total. That's tight. That's good. And they're both set apart pretty good from the next lift by 15 pounds or so. We've got workout 5. Tia at 3:45, and then Cara at 5:17. That's a big differential for first and second place in a short workout. That's not good.
Workout 4. Wait, you didn't even say workout 4, buddy.
Well, no, it's because she was third. That's why I said that. But still, we can jump down to Ellie Turner, who is the one that got second, 5:59, first place. Tia, second place, 9:04. That was Ellie. Yeah, come on now.
3 minutes.
She might decide to run it back and do it again while waiting for the rest of the girls. That's what I'm saying.
She's awesome.
She's built different. She's literally built different. And this is a first for her in her career, which I think makes it special because we're at this place where we're like, okay, how long is Tia going to do this? Is this her final show for the Australian crowd? Is this going to be the last time that she steps on the floor? And it's like, man, would you dare even consider hanging them up after just sweeping, the field? And also, by the way, to the girl who got second, who literally they've finished 1 and 2 at the CrossFit Games together before by seconds.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, this wasn't a field that was watered down. This wasn't an off year for the rest of the girls. They stepped up to compete, and Tia just brought her best. And we're seeing her actually come off a real off season. And I think you're clearly aware of this, Dan, but She was doing the Olympics thing, right? Winter Olympics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bobsled. She took months off away from CrossFit. Publicly shared about needing to get down about 12 pounds or so in order to be at her like competitive CrossFit weight, and doing that only just a couple weeks before the Open. So she's been just still on the journey of getting back in shape. And I think this is part of the reason why, for a savvy individual athlete who knows how to train and her coach knows how to coach her, we're starting to really see the fruits of like some patient training where she's not overrun. She's completely fresh. She's hungry. And when you've been in the game for as long as she has, that's really important. So Tia, of course, hats off to you. You killed it. And then Cara Saunders in second, and then Ellie Turner in third. And I think these were the two, Dan, in this semifinal. It was between Ellie, Maddie, and then I'll throw Jamie Simmons in there as well. But people just didn't know how that was going to play out between those three, but specifically between Ellie and Maddie. And look at how tight that race is.
They have 4 points. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, basically, if Ellie probably would have got what, 7th? Not even us, 6th. Like if Ellie would have on that last workout, if she would have gotten 6th place as opposed to 5th, or if Maddie would have been 8 seconds faster, 7 seconds faster, and she would have got 2nd, I mean, she's punching her ticket. That sucks. Like that's gotta suck so bad. That's gotta just, oh man, it's gotta just make you angry. Like, man.
It does, man. And honestly, one of my hopes is that we get a couple of these close call athletes on the show. You know, I really want to have that opportunity for them to be able to express kind of what it's like, because I think, you know, all the shine in the summertime is going to go to the 40, right? The 40 that are punching their ticket and they're going to the big show. We want to see what they're doing in training. We want to vlog them. We want to get them on our podcast. But like, what about those people that were just 10 points out, 5 points out, and we just watched their whole year from their perspective go down the drain a bit? I've had that happen to me. I've seen it happen to many people, and that's a tough place to be in. So I want to check in on those folks and kind of see what this experience is like once the dust settles.
That makes me think of even just Christine Kohlenbrander, right? And the conversation we had with her last week, or, you know, just the other day, because it's like, so when you were asking her questions the whole time, like I'm just like looking at her face, right? I'm just kind of getting a read of her. And the whole time I'm like, oh man, like she hates having to talk about last year so much, but she's grinning, bearing it. Like even, what was it? Obviously come back to her in a bit, but out or not that she did this weekend, and in that workout she won, so they interviewed her, and the first question that the girl asked her was about last year. And it's like, dude, like you had to sit and eat that all year.
Yep.
And so I think it's a good idea. I think honestly think it would be good for the athlete just to like get an opportunity to basically process it in that type of format, especially with somebody who is kind of coming in as a third party. That's, you know, it's like, hey man, we're very different people, but I've been there. Right. Yeah. And with your prior experience and feeling that, what would you call it? Disdain, distaste, rage,
all of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Grief. I mean, ultimately, I think what it is it's like grief.
Yep.
So,
yep. Yeah. And it's a powerful thing. And I'm sure athletes will have a lot to say about it. Some of them will experience it for the first time. Some of them, you know, this won't be the last time they get that taste in their mouth, but it's going to be big motivation for them. So it'll be interesting to hear where they thought their mistakes happened, what they thought could have gone better, what would they change, all that good stuff I think will be awesome. But I want to jump ahead to the teams just to show them some love. And I'll be honest, guys, I don't know a lot about the teams from the Torium Pro region, so I need to do my homework. I'm going to certainly catch up on who CrossFit Urban Energy is, because they put on a show this weekend in regards to dominance, first, third, second. That's how you come out of a semifinal with a lot of confidence, knowing that you're going to have a potential shot at shooting for hopefully a top 5 spot at the CrossFit Games with those kind of standings. But we've got CrossFit Urban Energy in 1, CrossFit Selwyn in 2, and CrossFit EXF in spot 3. And there's a relatively healthy distance between 3rd and 4th here, so I doubt it was a ton of broken hearts. However, I will say CrossFit EXF showed up on that last workout in order to solidify their spot and got a first place. So it might have been a little bit closer than they desired to come out and punch their ticket, but they got the job done.
Yeah, I'll be curious to kind of watch the recap and see really how close that was, because like even just looking at it, I would be willing to bet, like just knowing the way the points, because the points are always kind of wonky, right? But I mean, basically, CrossFit EXF punched their ticket because they got first.
Right.
Like if they
Right.
get
That's what I'm saying.
anything
Yeah.
else, yeah. So I mean, from that end, it was like it like it's a healthy gap only in the last workout.
And because the other team got sick specifically, right?
Yeah.
So because they got first, they racked up that gap, and then because that team, I mean, all things considered, it looks like it was a choke job, and that's tough.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, too, let me bounce back here real quick. Did you see Did you see what the workouts were for this?
No, I did not.
So the last workout, for the teams, and I just got to make sure this is correct.
Yep,
but
I got it up here too.
Yeah, so I think that it was row. It was row, like 1K for men, 800 for the ladies, then like 100 dubs, and then like 10 overhead squats for time. But everybody had to do it, and the next person didn't go till you were done. So it was a spotlight on everybody. So if it was one of those like choke jobs, man, that was heartbreaking, because that means one person probably just like really, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They tried to snatch the overhead squat or something, or they missed a bunch of overhead squats, or because it was a heavy weight too. I think it was probably about like 205 pounds for the men and 135 or 125, something like that for the ladies. So it was from a team perspective, that's pressure. That's a good bit of pressure, which of course I'm here for, and I support 100% because we want to see a show.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
But it was good.
Yeah, that I always like when they do that too. I like with the team, one of my favorite aspects of the team workouts in general, just from a general perspective, is when they have events where it's like you can't, like it's not just simply teamwork. Like the team aspect obviously is vital, but it's like I also want to see, like who are you hiding? And like a workout like this, like yeah, you get to hide nobody. Sorry, no one's getting hit. You know, it's like if you got a, I don't know, weak overhead squat, or if you can't double under, under extreme duress, you're about to get exposed real bad.
Real bad. All right, let's take this conversation over to Lowlands. We're gonna take it across the sea here, and we're gonna start with the men.
Yep.
But hey, I'll be honest, the top three here don't surprise me whatsoever. We've got some serious hitters in the semifinal, but from fifth to first, because of course it's better to be suspenseful. I don't know what I was thinking reading them off in order last time, but Enrico Zanoni is going to be a Games rookie. Don't know that name. Got to do my homework on that particular individual. But he comes in at 448. And there's a pretty tight gap between 5 and 6 there. Him between Luka Dukic, because Luka was at the CrossFit Games last year. Luka was in striking distance throughout most of this weekend. So I think that had to be a very tight race all the way into the end with what looks to be 13-point differential. But again, it literally always comes down to kind of that final event, because you never know what's going to happen. And then Mortis Fiebig is also going to be a rookie. So another unknown, and honestly, so when you look at these names, Dan, look down at 6 and 7, Luka and Adrian Mundweiler. Both of those guys have been to the games, and they've been to the games a couple times. So you switch that 6 and 7 with 4 and 5, and this would probably have been my top 5. And so these two stepped up and stepped in and punched their ticket. I love to see it. I think it's going to be something super exciting. But then we advanced to Uldis Upeniks, and my man has been a threat all offseason. He's got involved. He was at Rogue this offseason. He's done some things that have impressed me and certainly have turned my head. I don't know what he did on the final event, workout 6 here, because that looks like certainly an outlier from the rest of his weekend. But I don't even remember exactly what the final was for them. But I'm gonna have to look at that up if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, I got it. Here, I'll tell you what it is, because it has my interest. So this is am I reading this right? A 5-minute time cap? 5-minute time cap. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
5-minute time cap, 40 cal on echo bike, 20 bar muscle ups.
Yes.
10 overhead squats at 100.
Yep. That's kilos. So 225. Yeah. That's it. Okay. That makes sense. Right. Cause now take that correlation over to his 13th place on the clean and jerk.
Yeah.
So a little bit of some strength issues and potentially overhead. And look, in this final, when I hear a workout like that, like that's you got to risk it. You got to risk it. You got to send it on the bike, and then you got to hang on for basically unbroken bar muscle ups. And with a 5-minute cap, look at these times, man. They're not separated by a ton. First place was 3:15, and seventh place was 3:56. So within 40 seconds, you had 6 other guys across the finish line. So I'm sure that's kind of what got Uldis. He probably got to that barbell and either tried to snatch it and missed it, or got close to like 8 reps in his overhead squat and dropped it. But there's so many things that could have gone wrong. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because that's an exciting finale. And then in second place, we've got Bjorn Karl Gudmundsson, who of course was probably my favorite to win this. And then we've got Lazar Dukic, which is Luca's brother, racking it up and taking first place in relatively smooth and dominant fashion throughout the weekend. So he put on a good show.
He did put on a good show. I was looking, because I'm always interested in the point spread and everything. So it looks like Oldest, who came in third, was going into the day at second. So that gap was actually like between him and BKG. It was pretty close.
Okay.
But then because he had to just. My guess is it probably must have been just the overhead squats. Then probably is what got him right.
That's what you assume. You'd assume. Yeah, and it's funny because I tell you, Uldis, there was like a storyline that CrossFit posted where he tried to get an Uber before day 2. So before workout 3 went down, and for some reason he couldn't get a ride. He biked to the venue and it was raining, and he pulled up just before he had to warm up and go, and got second in that event. So that was kind of funny, but I don't know the details there, but it was just something they posted on social media.
Amazing.
So I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Showed up and went to work. Okay, the ladies. This is where we got a little bit of some prize going down here. So this was Sarah Sigmundsdottir was out there throwing down. I don't know if you paid attention this weekend, but she was out there, had to travel back to the home country to another country to throw down. And we know this as being the return year for Sarah from her injury. Yep. And she's already thrown down a few times. She hit Dubai. She hit Wadapalooza, but had to withdraw early. And then we were just wondering, would this be the Sarah that we knew of years past? Is she ready? What would her conditioning be like? And ultimately, I think this it's hard for me to say, but I think this is the old Sarah. I think there's a lot of ups and a lot of downs here. And I think, unfortunately, it could be a measure of fitness, but it could be simply just where she's at in her career in regards to where you know what I mean? It's not not the injury. I don't think why we can blame her being on the outside looking in, especially when we look at the point spread there between 5 and 6. But that's where we're at. Sarah sitting at 428 at 6th place. Then we've got Lucy Campbell with a pretty large gap to 484 in 5th place. Matilde Garns at 492. Gabriela Magala at 496. Karine Frehove at 504. And then we've got Laura Horvath, the second fittest woman in the world in 2021, with 560. So that, again, is a healthy serving of points between first and second. So she did what she needed to do to not just punch her ticket again, but do it with some momentum.
All right. So this is probably not the time. Maybe this is something we can talk about at another point. But it was just something that I was thinking about actually from when we were interviewing Pat.
Yeah.
And because I always have a hard time. Okay. I always have a hard time when I watch any level of sports and they ask an athlete like, hey, you're getting up there in age. And it's like, dude, I'm 32.
Yep.
Like, I'm not getting up. No. And it's like, and obviously like different sports have different things, but it's like CrossFit, your body gets beat up.
Absolutely.
Right. Is that like for Sarah, right? Like I was just looking, she's 29 years old.
Yep.
Like, is there a master starts when you're 35, 36? 35. Should there be like a new masters?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm wondering like if it's something where it's like, look, some people like really fall off hard.
Yeah. Well, no. And that's not it for her, right? I won't say it's just age. And the reason I say that is because, look at these other ladies. They're right there with her. You got 27, you got 26. And what we're starting to see as well is that like, we've got people, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but Will Moore, I just punched his ticket. He's 33.
Yeah.
So that's not the issue here with her. And we don't want to lower the bar again to like 30 years old. If you do that, you got to do that 10 years from now when the sport has shown that now we've got 17-year-old men who can punch their ticket to the CrossFit Games in the open category, like we're seeing with the women. But here's what's interesting about our sport, and we're learning this about women, how God just made them better. That we have 17-year-old women qualifying for the CrossFit Games, and then we have 40-year-old women also qualifying for the CrossFit Games. So while it's like from a physiological adaptation standpoint, men can tend to get stronger and can tend to get more explosive, but our window to optimize that is just shorter. Women might not be able to put out the same amount of power as men from a sex to sex comparison, but it looks like they can peak earlier with their development and last longer in regards to their staying power. So I mean, that's just my perspective on men and women when we kind of like do that, comparison, because you're just going to see it like older men. You're not going to see as many men up there in age punch their ticket as you will on the female side. So it's interesting.
That is, yeah. I don't know. I think it's just the sport, because of the sport is so destructive. Like almost, I want to say like body type. Like everybody gets destroyed, but it's like, hey, look, the chances are the longer, bigger you are, probably the more risk you're in, and also then the weaker you are, the more risk you're going to be in, right? So, because if you're more of a weaker athlete, then you got to train strength, and strength's going to be more destructive, it's going to hurt you more. So it's, yeah. I mean, it's going to be neat to see, especially with the way CrossFit is going, what happens there. So
100%. 100%. And you're hitting the nail on the head. I've talked about that a lot with strength. It's like if you come into the sport and you're strong, you have a tremendous advantage over someone who's weak. And it's just simply because of the path that you must take in order to make yourself well-rounded. It is a more convenient path for longevity. And it doesn't take as long. If you're weak and you got to get strong, there's not too much you can do to speed that process up. So that makes it tough. But let's continue this conversation and talk about the teams a little bit. And again, this region, unlike the last region, I know who was thrown down over here. Okay, we got CrossFit Reykjavik in spot 1, and I'm just going to start there because this is the team, right? We got a full sweep. We got first, and they did it handily. They did it in a way that was necessary if they really want to be the whole reason that they came together, which is a potential contender to take the affiliate cup back to Iceland or to Iceland in the first place, right? It's never been there before, but that's what they want to do. They want to stop the mayhem. They want to do what we did in 2017 with the Wasatch Brutes. And no one else has ever done it. So good luck to CrossFit Reykjavik. But I think this is the kind of momentum that we need to see getting ready for the CrossFit Games. And I know you watched an event or two of theirs. So what are your thoughts?
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts, and I only, truth be told, I only got to watch, it was workout number 2.
Yep.
I believe that was the row. Where's it at? Hold on, I'm bringing it up here. Cause the 5,000 meter row, at 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, and 20 minute, 42 meter sandbag carry relay. So there were things to me that it's like, having watched Mayhem and having paid attention to Mayhem over the years, like I feel like Mayhem really doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They're not Rich just, I think Rich has an understanding of like what's most efficient. And when I watched that workout, like there were certain things I was like, oh wait, why are they doing it like that? They're the only team doing it like that. That doesn't seem like a good idea. And while I don't fully understand, and here's an easy example, the sandbag carry. So each individual had to carry it down and back, and then the next person got to go down and back, down and back.
Yep.
Every team other than Reykjavik had it on their shoulder.
Okay.
And they were running with it on their shoulder. Reykjavik had it in front of them.
Yep.
And they were moving slower. Outside of Annie, I think she was the only one who was moving faster than like the other women carrying it like that. But the guys were moving slower.
Okay.
And it wasn't until the end that they started the very end, they started carrying it like that. And I really think it was like they had an idea and then they scrapped it in the middle, which I suppose is a good thing.
Yep.
But like that was one where I want to say, like, I mean, listen, man, they got first place. They couldn't have done any better. But in the same vein, I was like, wait, shouldn't this be something you guys already know?
Yes, you're right. They should have, and they should know that. And I'll be honest with you, a couple things stand out to me there. One is that could have been an experiment, right? They wanted to see what could happen if they're the first ones to get it. It's quicker to get it to your belly. Maybe that creates enough of an advantage where if you're moving just a little slower, it doesn't matter, right?
Mm.
So maybe they thought get it up quicker, get the next person going quicker is the way. Also, it could have shown that they just really didn't think it all the way through. Meaning that they knew that was the quickest way to get it up, but they forgot to think about actually how fast they move when they get it up. Because very obviously, if you're allowed to carry it anyway, doing anything with it on your shoulder, resting on your skeleton, like stacked, is going to be much faster. You can run, you can swing your free arm. There's so many different things that you can do if you just got it balanced on your shoulder the right way. So I don't really know where they were thinking with that, but I will say a positive is that they called the audible mid-workout, changed what could have been better, and then they adapted. I think that's going to show its fruits if they continue to be able to do that in the spot, because at the games, you don't get to demo any of these workouts before you go out in the field. And if something's not working, you got to be quickly able to call an audible and do what's going to be best. So that at least was a good sign.
How hard is it to call an audible in the middle of one of these things, though? Like as a team?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's extremely hard. And the reason is because, I mean, back when I was doing it, it was teams of 6, right? The year that we won the CrossFit Games, all the years I got to be on a team to win the games, we had 6 people. So it was even more difficult then. The floors were more crowded with people. It was a little bit louder. But now that it's 4, the communication is still extremely important and all that really matters. But it's hard to do so, especially now. So, and this is something we can talk about in more detail, and I'm sure we will as the season goes on. But the good teams now almost aren't even verbally communicating. Right? Like they're picking up the worm because they start to feel the worm start to pick up because someone else's tension moved the worm and they were all making eye contact and they just decided it was time together. They can adjust the worm without making a cue. They're going down for the next squat without saying something verbally. So when you do need to speak, sometimes it starts to get a little foreign when you already have a game plan. So it's important. Sometimes you got to stop completely, but you got to get all eyes on you and ears got to be really focused and dialed in to who's going to call that audible. But it's something hard to communicate for sure.
Yeah, because that actually is an easy segue too. That was one of the other things I noticed during that workout is the only person I saw that strapped their feet in on the row machine was Lauren.
Yep.
And I guess from Lauren's perspective, it probably makes sense just because she's like little.
Yeah.
Right. Like she's smaller. So it's like that probably gives her a slight advantage. But the amount of time it took her, that poor girl, I mean, it was like she had to like untie her shoes.
Yeah.
I think you do that against Mayhem and you're out.
100%. Yeah, 100%, especially because work capacity wise, that's an event. If that event came up at the CrossFit Games, they could beat Mayhem in that event. And in my opinion, yeah, they could. That would be a great event actually to watch between them and Mayhem because it's just so raw work capacity, size wise, strength wise. It would be a wonderful throwdown. But the foot strap thing, that's, I hate to say it like this, that's a rookie mistake, right? You don't when multiple people are using the rower, you don't tighten the straps. You have them set, you have them preset. You have people working in and out of the rower. You already know what that's going to feel like a little bit loose for you, but you don't take the time to let the momentum of the rower die down, to let the paddle just sit there in the rower. You keep it moving at all costs, and of course, you just make it work. And their intervals, I'm sure, were short enough for her to withstand, even if the foot straps was a little loose. I highly doubt it would have affected her stroke rate or her power output. So I'm really not sure why she would have made that choice, knowing that it could have been costly to them. But when we line up with 40 other or 39 other teams at the CrossFit Games, and every point's going to matter for Reykjavik, that can't happen. So that'll be something else that they kind of iron out, I'm certain of, between now and then. And of course, Yami, their coach, hopefully also someone that's a future guest on our show. He's got a ton of experience and has broken down competing to a science. But this, for a team at a high level like this, is going to be new for him as well. So to even be able to call those shots and kind of guide those decisions, he's learning too. And I think as long as their learning curve is like sped up enough and they take these lessons now that you're pointing out and they're like, okay, this is what we can't do. This is what we need to change. This is what we need to be ready for. They'll have all those bugs like worked out of the system before it's time to go.
Yeah. Cause I mean, I'm just a guy, right? Like I like CrossFit.
Yep.
But if I'm noticing things like that, then I feel like it's like, okay, well, what are they noticing? And the one thing I feel like I've understood, especially with teams that I think having watched you, having listened to you,
Yep.
When it comes to even just the way you've coached and been a part of teams, is like transitions matter.
Big time.
Like your work capacity, your strength, your overall fitness is very important. But the difference between first and second place often lies in like how are you moving from one person to the other?
Yeah, it's everything. Transitions matter. Everything matters. I mean, you know this, and I share this with everybody. But one of the things we worked on specifically when we knew we were going to stop the mayhem at the CrossFit Games was an emphasis on transition and urgency. We knew that we had to be willing to suffer more than them, and we knew that we could not walk when they walked. We had to run when they walked, and so because there were going to be workouts where they potentially had more skills and had more raw fitness, or just it played out better for them. So how are we going to exploit that? Was our aware, like we had to be aware of how we were going to exploit that. And I think that's a difference between like me going to compete and other people is I spent time watching them. You know, hey, it's Rich. They put stuff on YouTube all the time. So I was watching it. And I would watch the way they trained. I would watch the way they moved. And I came to the conclusion that most of that team and those athletes moved like Rich, which meant they moved well, they moved smooth, and they moved efficiently. What they didn't do is move with urgency and at the rate of racing. So we didn't just do thrusters. We did thrusters as fast as we could. We didn't just do warm squats. We did warm squats as fast as we could. We didn't do burpees smoothly. We did them as fast as we could. And when you do that for sets, or I mean, it's same GHD sit-ups. We didn't just do them smooth. We weren't just out there trying to do 50 unbroken. We're trying to do 50 unbroken as fast as we could. Same with bar muscle-ups. And we trusted to build our fitness so high that then we could sustain those things. Or we knew when we were tapped out, needed to transition, or, well, what if it was 20 unbroken bar muscle-ups? Can we still do that? So there's a lot of intention that has to go into it if you want to do something like shock the world and take the affiliate cup home, because that place really likes Cookeville. The affiliate cup really likes, it has a beautiful home in Cookeville. It just is, they probably take beautiful care of it. It clearly prefers the Tennessee weather. So if they want to take it back to cold and snowy Iceland, they're going to have to be very persuasive.
Yeah, man, they want to they want to dip that affiliate cup in a hot spring, and one of those hot springs, they gotta, it's going to take something. And that was the big thing to me. Like, I will say this though, watching Con Porter, I had texted you.
Yep.
Watching Con Porter row, it was like the last like 400 meters.
Yep.
At like a 116, 117 pace.
Yep.
I mean, oh man, it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. Now, since he was YOLOing it at the end, right?
No doubt.
And so like he's going, and it's like his first like 5 pulls are big pulls, but when he's coming up, he's tightening one strap on his shoe, and then coming back and tighten the other strap. And I'm just
that's how you do it.
Oh my gosh, this is.
Yep, that's how you do it.
It was like weirdly like artistic. Like that was all I thought of. Is it's like, man, like this dude, like he's done this before, where it's like you have to, like, you're just full send. You're full send. And I know, like, I mean, like, you know, Con Porter's been like, Con Porter. Like he's solid. But it's like, oh man, to watch that. What I'll tell you, one of the things that made me think of is it was like, oh yeah, he's built to be like good on a team. Like
100%. 100%. He's built for that. Con has been waiting for this moment his whole career. He had no idea. And I say that because he's the kind of psycho that you need. Every team needs 1 to 2 of these. Riches are both on the female side for him. And it's a beautiful thing to watch happen. So no disrespect to you ladies. And you know this, that is a compliment of all compliments when I say this kind of psycho. And Con, same to you, man. It's like these athletes have the ability to hit a switch where they just go dumb and kind of turn off. But what they need to be is surrounded by the right people to tell them when and how long and how hard and how many. And then all of a sudden, it's just like they're a machine, because they're willing to suffer better for others than they would even themselves. And we've actually seen that. But we've seen Con. So Con, and Dan, you can go back and watch this. But Con has a moment. I want to say it's like 2016 CrossFit Game regionals. It was thrusters and legless rope climbs, like 21:15.9 with 4:32 or 3:21 legless rope climbs. He had to full send to win the event. And something else needed to happen for him to punch a ticket, and he just killed everybody. Like, I mean, my man almost blacked out when he finished the workout. But it's notorious. It's literally like one of the best, Michael Jordan at the crossing over Brian Russell at the free throw line type experiences because he just closed it out like a savage. So I think he's going to be ready. And man, yeah, we could talk about these team things all day, but let's bump over to the other regional, because we're going to have a chance, I think, really to get those guys on the show, and we're gonna have a good conversation with them, and it's going to be an exciting summer because of that. But Syndicate Crown, that's the only one we haven't topped off. Yep. So we're going to start on the men's side. We got to watch the champ take the floor. I'm going to start all the way down at 6th place with my man who I wanted to watch go to the CrossFit Games this year, James Sprague. Now, for any of you guys that don't know, James is a tall drink of water. He is 74 inches in height. How tall is that? 6'2"? 6'2". And he looks every bit of 6'4" to me when he's out there on the floor comparatively to all the other shorter CrossFit athletes. But I've known James for many years, about 2017-ish when he started working with Bruce Strength. And I'm still, I could be wrong, but I think his coach is still Matt Torres as well. So just like Dallin, who we just had on as a guest on the podcast. But man, these workouts looked like they were going to go really well for him. And what you see is a 24th in the first event, and then a 24th in the second event, and everything in between. We've got 1st, 2nd, 6th, 4th. He was executing like a vet. So he's got some outliers and some things he's got to tighten up and work on. But man, I wanted James to punch that ticket. And he found himself 1 point out from the CrossFit Games this year, finishing just behind the man, the myth, the legend, Will Morad. And I bring him up because he's been around for a while. At 33 years old, he's going back to the big show. And he had a pretty darn good weekend himself, with a 17th and a 20th being his worst places. And he went 6th, 9th, 5th, and 1st. How to finish? Just like Will, right? Like my man knew what he had to do. He stepped up. And for anyone that doesn't know this, a CrossFit event like the semifinals, 3 days, you got 6 events, how it's going to play out. You have that afternoon, you take the floor for the last time, and you're like, okay, what do I have to do? Because everybody in the back knows, what do you have to do points wise? Where do you have to finish? Who needs to finish where? Like, how do I actually make it to the games? He had everything perfect happen for him in order to make it to the CrossFit Games. And I hope, there's a story behind Will Dan, and you might not know this, but his wife was diagnosed with cancer this year. So she's been in a long battle. There's some personal things that happened with him where if anyone had to beat out our boy James, it would be Will. And I'm pumped for him. I couldn't be more pumped for that dude to get a shot back and get to, relive that experience, and honestly be able to shoot for another, hopefully give himself an opportunity to get in the top 5 at the CrossFit Games this year. At spot 4, we've got Tudor Magda. Now, Tudor is a former brute athlete who went with James Townsend this last year. He's only 19. He's 19. Goodness. Yeah, he's 19 years old. And here's what's messed up. My man did the clean and jerk complex and hit 345. He won it. He's 19. I'll say that one more time. He won it, and he's only 19. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. You get a chance to see Chase Merrill on a regular basis sling and bang some barbells, and we know he does that well.
Yeah.
Right. When I got to the gym after he watched Tudor do this, he was like, dude, I didn't know like people were going to be slanging and banging. I was like, yeah, bro. People are getting after it with these weights. Like it was impressive. We watched him do it. I went and watched it as well. And for him to do that 345, it looked like he still had another 10 to 15 pounds in the tank too.
Oh, that's
like
terrifying.
It was elegant. He did it right. Then 3rd place, we've got Cole Greshiber. I think that's how we say that. Greshiber. Cole, I'm sorry. I want to have you on the show so you can teach me how to say it.
I thought it was great. That's how they were saying it on the broadcast.
That's how we're going to say it. That's how we're going to say it. Perfect. Greshiber.
Yeah.
22, another young buck, punched his ticket to the games this year. And he's a proven athlete. So that means he's working with Tia and Shane and those guys over there. I'm not sure if he actually lives there, but I know that he has been training with them for a little while. And of course, this is his first. He finished 7th last year at the Atlas at CrossFit at the Atlas Games. So he was just on the outside looking in. And then, of course, 2 and 1 were probably the most predictable spots for this particular semifinal. Jason Hopper in 2nd, going back to the CrossFit Games for his 2nd time at age 24. And then Justin Medeiros, the fittest man in the world last year at a CrossFit Vancouver. He's going back to defend his title at age 23. So that's the men. That's the layout for the men.
The thing I love about that is just looking at, the comparison of our champions, right? With Tia and then Justin. It's like Justin got 1 first place finish, but
yes,
but it's like he's just so well rounded.
Yep.
because like even as I'm looking here, it's like so Jason got second, and it's like he had 1 second place finish, and then only one other top 5 finish.
Yep.
Cole had an 18th to his name. Tudor had a 19th and 2 12s to his name.
Yep.
Morad, it's like a 17th and a 20th. And then you just got Justin, who's like mostly top 5, all top 5 except for 1.
Yep. Yep. And again, that workout specifically, that's that rope climb workout where that was by seconds, right? So it's like my man, the guy in front of him that got 6th beat him by 0.3 of a second.
0.3 of a second. That's hilarious.
And who got 5th? What did they get? 2:51.
Yeah. So second.
Yeah. So again, he's 1 second away from having all top 5s. And honestly, look at his point standing, right? Like, so that's why you can have a performance like this and you have a greater win margin than Tia, who swept the whole region.
Yeah.
So it pays to be consistent in our sport. That's for sure. And I love this about him because it's a very different way than we're used to watching people win. And to me, this is the epitome of what CrossFit is trying to create when we do so with even the everyday man and woman that walks in our gym.
Yeah, it makes me think of like, and I mean, tell me I'm wrong here, but I think it's just maybe it was more of the like the feeling I had, maybe, but tell me I'm wrong. It was when Ben Smith won. Like I felt like Ben Smith, it's like Ben was like the year he won, it was just like, man, he's just good. You know,
no, you're not wrong. Yeah, okay. You're right.
Like it wasn't like Ben, like I mean, and I don't know what his standings like, what if he came in first a whole bunch or not, but at no point did it feel like he was dominant, right? Like with Rich, it was like Rich is just better than everybody. With Matt, it was like Matt's like Shaq in CrossFit.
Correct.
And then but like with Justin, it's just like, yeah, he's just really fit, and he's not. Like, you know, we talk about like for you, right? For you as an athlete, it's like for you, you're like, hey, I was never really like the guy who's going to win an event. And it's like, yeah, that's Justin, except for Justin not winning an event means he comes in 3rd.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're not comparing me and Justin at all.
No,
we're not in the same conversation. But yes, absolutely. And it's interesting because Rich was kind of like Michael Jordan, right? Not completely dominant like all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning like, he had his weaknesses and he wasn't always blowing people out of the water, but then all of a sudden when things mattered, it was not even a consideration. It wasn't even close when it mattered to him. And when it went down the stretch, like it was first after first on Sunday, it would be like, he might win on Saturday night and then go first on Sunday. And then you're like, oh, he won by 80, or you know what I'm saying? But really there was a time on Friday where he could have been trailing and in 24th place. So he liked to play with us like that. And then Matt, on the other hand, once he found his groove, he was bullying people on the floor, like literally bullying. It didn't matter what they did. Didn't matter who they showed up with. You could double team them all day, but people were like, had a fear because it didn't matter on their very best day twice over. It didn't matter what you were going to do when you showed up. All right, let's jump over to the ladies. So we have our girl, friend of the show, our first athlete-to-athlete guest, Christine Kohlenbrander, punched her ticket to the CrossFit Games. Congratulations, Christine. She gave me a little bit of a scare on event 3. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
She missed her final rope climb a couple times. Scared me.
It was.
Yeah, because she could have had a better. She would have had a better finish right there. She'd have just kind of done what I think she expected to do. So it wouldn't even been so close, but she did a great job. Congratulations, Christine. Christy Armo is going back to the CrossFit Games, and Christy, let's see, she's getting up there, man. Age 33, another 33-year-old. There we go. Yeah. Paige Semenza, age 30, going back to the CrossFit Games, and then we got some young bucks: Alexis Raptis at age 23 and Haley Adams at age 21. And I would say this 5 was a pretty predictable 5 for me. No one in this region really stood out aside from those ladies. And a part of that is me maybe not having a full understanding or grasp for a lot of these athletes that are first timers at semifinals, or they have never been to the CrossFit Games. But this would have been my 5. So it played out almost exactly like I thought it would. We knew Haley would struggle with the barbell complex. That's still something, again, unfortunately to her, it takes time to build strength. That was her weakness, but look at how dominant she is throughout the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, she And it was funny because when I watched the snatch ladder, and because I knew I knew Christine would do well with this, but you just never know if it's like what's well mean, like is well first place or is it like fifth,
Right.
So I was really pumped to watch her, and then I'm watching Haley get that 200, and I'm like, oh man, okay. I was thinking she was going to win this weekend. Like that was where my mind went. As I was
100%.
like, oh yeah, I thought for sure I thought she was going to come in first, and here, like she's barely cracking 200. Oh, okay, never mind. But and then now it's like, oh, okay, that's what it means. Got it.
Yeah, and that's the advantage to being a home run hitter. So when we say home run hitters, it doesn't always mean just on the heavy lifts, right? She can have whiffs periodically. This is kind of we've never seen Rich perform this way at semifinals, or back in the day it was called regionals. We've never seen him place that far out at one of those events. But this is kind of Froning-esque, where there might be an event or two, but then all of a sudden everything else that you can handle, or everything else that is your jam, like you make them pay. And workout 2 and workout 4 are perfect examples of those. And then workout 5 a second. Like when you can get dubs, when you can win, that's the difference between her and Alexis Raptis. Look at how close her score is. And Alexis was pretty well rounded throughout. She got a 12th as well. But that's what happens again when you're a bit of a younger athlete compared to some of the more savvy, seasoned women that have been slanging and banging barbells for longer. But yeah, execution. We know what Haley brings to the table mindset wise. So that 23rd. Bad news to the rest of the field, didn't touch her. She was just like, cool, see you guys in an hour, and then crushed everybody. And then she was like, see you tomorrow, and then just started running away with it.
Yeah, she's a stud, man.
Great performance there. Jump into the team. Here we go again. Now, we're going to start with CrossFit Mayhem, but not CrossFit Mayhem Freedom with Rich Froning and the squad. We're going to start in 5th place with CrossFit Mayhem Justice. Now, I don't know if you remember, but in 2013 with Ute CrossFit, we sent 2 teams to the CrossFit Games.
I remember.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And I think in our region, actually, we went 1 and 2. So that was even more special. Dog, they're going to send 3 teams. Because CrossFit Mayhem Justice is like their camera guy.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple other brand new people who've never been to semifinals before. So there's that, right? Which hey, CrossFit Mayhem Justice, we'd love to get you on the show too, because I want to know what it's like for you guys as newcomers to get in there and throw down in the barn and be able to be worked with by the champ and everything else that's going around environmentally. But yeah, I don't know that they expected, like, hey, for sure we're going to the games. So this is awesome for them. A lot of first timers at semifinals getting an opportunity, going to punch the ticket to the big show. They'll be the 3rd team that makes it to the CrossFit Games. And of course, it's because you've got the other CrossFit Mayhem team. Not Justice, not Freedom, but I forget the name, but that's with Luke and Angelo, and a couple other really, really fit ladies. But down to 4th place, we got 8th Day CrossFit Black. They tied CrossFit Mayhem Justice with 465 points. Then a really tight gap between 4th and 3rd, CrossFit Overtake Team Density. Great mouthful. Yeah. Overtake. 470 points for them. And then we get more of a gap, more disparity here. CrossFit CLT. Now, I'm trying to think of their name.
I was looking for them.
I'm not familiar with these guys. But it's not often that we get a ton of new faces on the team side. So it wouldn't surprise me if I'm just missing something with their title or what they titled their team. And then, of course, at the top, we've got CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, 600 points, a full sweep, and not even close. Again, what we're looking at gap-wise is that we've got 2.5 minutes in workout 5 between them and the next. We've got 50 seconds in workout 4. We have got a healthy 1 minute and 4 seconds in workout 3. Let's see here. Whatever workout 2 was by 3 reps. And then in the total, let's see how they finished with the lift. They won by 15 pounds. That's pretty solid. So Mayhem doing Mayhem things. No surprise there to me. And this is bad news to the rest of you guys out there on the team. This is their best 4 that they've ever showed up to the CrossFit Games with. And It's not even close.
Really?
Not even.
Wow. Why? Why? I know that we probably don't have enough time for you to dive into all the thoughts behind that, but give me your quick thoughts on that, because that surprises me.
Yeah, well, the women are the same. Okay, so the 2 women are the same coming back. they are two of the toughest females that I've watched take the floor. I knew they were going to be trouble once they made the announcement last year before the games that Rich had gotten them those girls. So those girls, the history of those girls, so you understand, Dan, is that they were competing at the CrossFit Games all the way back when we beat them in 2017. When we beat Mayhem, they were on a different team though. So they basically got tired of getting beat by Rich, and then we're like, "Yo, let's make this happen." Rich got them out there. The price was right, and they're out there throwing down on teams. So they had dominance last year. But what you have to keep in mind is that Chase, I believe Chase Westhill might have been his last name, but this is Rich's cousin, essentially, was on the team. And Chase is a great CrossFitter, but he was weak physically compared to the rest of their team, right? Like he just wasn't physically that strong as a male. And while he was relatively fit and well-rounded, he's nothing compared to who they got, Sam Cornier, on their team this year. So they literally, Rich upgraded their team from having a male who was like a semifinal male to a man last year who probably could have got top 5 or been on the podium last year at the games, but he got sick after the first event from the water during the swim and boat swim paddle event. So this dude legitimately could have been top 5, potentially top 3 last year with where his fitness was, and now they pulled him onto the team. So, and as long as they can catch Sam up on communication, execution, and Sam's a great team player with what they already had there, scary, literally scary.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be excited to watch them at the games just to see. It's oh man, it's gonna make it fun. I'm really hoping there's gonna be some kind of sleeper team that just jumps right in as well. So it's Reykjavik Mayhem, and then there's just one other kind of sneaky team that just blows up.
Hey man, hopefully there is, and I'm here for it. I like the drama. And hopefully throughout the summer, what we're going to do is as these semifinals start to really play out, we want to start to eye individuals that either surprise us or we think are going to make some moves at the CrossFit Games. We want to get them on the show. We want to get some of the teams that we think might be those sleepers that Dan is alluding to on the show. So, hey man, that'll be our job. Me and you, let's keep an eye out on some of these targets that we need to go after. We'll slide into the DMs and get them on the show. But all in all, that is semifinal week 1. We had Lowlands, we had Torian, and of course we had, what was the third there? The Syndicate crown. But it's going to be an exciting season. This is a heck of a way to kick it off. We've got the stage is beginning to be set. So we'll start to do some little analytical breakdown and some predictions. I will probably hop on, and we might be able to have Dan join us as well for some of the programming breakdown for week 2. The semifinals that will take place here in week 2. We'll dive in and kind of look at some of the events and see how well-rounded they are, what gaps we see that are missing, and what some things to come might be expected based off of them. And then, of course, this week we're going to be launching a few new episodes. We've got Matt DeLugos from the Underdogs crew set to join us. We've got Ali Scuds from the Underdogs crew set to join us, and we've got several others. The man, the myth, the legend, Luke Parker, scheduled to join us this week as well from Mayhem himself. And I'm hoping, Dan, that you and I both get a rose. Honestly, I heard that he carries roses around all the time since now, because he was on The Bachelorette. So
the Bachelorette guy.
He probably carries his own roses now. He's a man in high demand. So nonetheless, guys, we've got a list of people that are still have yet to hit their semi. And we're also going to start building a list of athletes that have already punched their ticket to the CrossFit Games. Hit us up. Feel free to send myself or Dan a DM about who you want to see on the show, because now's the time to nab them before the season really gets rolling far too fast and they're far too distracted. So thanks for joining us, guys. Dan, appreciate you.
Yeah, man, right back at you. Love you, brother.
It was fun. We'll keep this party rolling, and hopefully you guys can join us for the next episode. Week 1 is done. Peace out.